Shall we start?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, Vishal.
Yes, sir. Please start our today's session.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to have you all with us today. It is the second day of our 3-day national web conference on English studies in India, challenges, policies, and possibilities. Uh, Before I start anything, I would like to report the events and the things that had happened yesterday on the first day of the national conference. Yesterday, we had a wonderful keynote address, an intellectual deliberations session. Then there was a plenary. There were four panel discussion sessions, and then we had around 8 parallel paper presentation sessions. Today, we are also packed with a lot of academic activities. And today, we are beginning with a wonderful, wonderful keynote address by a wonderful, wonderful scholar, Professor Sridhar Gokhale sir. Professor Sridhar Gokhale sir actually doesn't require any introduction. He's probably one of the most celebrated names in the field of ELT and teacher education in India and in other countries as well. The illustrious career that he has is a mark of a genius in itself. His long career, his achievements, and his contribution to the field of research development in India is immense. Sir, I would like to welcome you to deliver the keynote address on the second day of our conference. And to chair such a wonderful session, we have with us Professor N.V. Bose. He works as the director and principal of H.M. Patel Institute of English Training and Research, Vidyanagar. He is also a well-known name in the field of teacher education because he has been contributing to this field for last more than 3 decades now in the state of Gujarat. And his association with various national and international organizations and his contribution to the international stage in the field of ELT is immense. So, sir, we are equally honored to have you here with us. And we couldn't have found a better chair for this session than you. So, on behalf of the entire organizing and advisory committee of this conference, I would like to welcome you, sir. And I would also like to welcome all the participants and all the listeners on the YouTube live channel and the other social media platforms who have been listening to us. Yesterday, there were around 1,200 people listening to all the delegates and all the eminent scholars. Today, I'm sure there will be many more that we will witness. I would also like to welcome Professor Sulban Natraj ma'am for joining us today. And I would also like to welcome Hitesh Bhagat sir, to join us today. Sir, your presence will motivate us, and thank you so much for being a part of today's first session. I would like to extend my greetings to you, and I would like to welcome you.
Thank
I
you,
would
sir.
now like to hand over to Professor Anvi Bose sir to chair the session, to begin the session with his own views for a couple of minutes on the field of ELT and teacher education, and to introduce Professor Gokhale sir. Thank you, sir. Now it's on you, sir.
Thank you. I hope I am audible to you all of you. Am I? Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Yeah. I really appreciate the initiative by Dr. Midhul Trivedi to conduct such online programs, which is I think need of the hour now. We know that we are in such a pandemic situation where the difficulty the teachers face in addressing classrooms. I was in Kerala for a while, so I could talk to a few teachers there who adapted such way of teaching English and other languages and other subjects too. The government has taken a step to reach all the students through an education channel online. So the difficulties and challenges that they face, were conveyed to me. So I think such initiatives should be taken here too in Gujarat and other states because we are unsure this our students will succeed. So, uh, uh, challenges. One of the challenges that I found is our syllabi, our is not designed for teaching online. So that is one of the major challenges. How to teach these uh, pre-prepared recorded video for the audio, even other, and all this. But whether it would reach to the student, how do we know it? How that's the major. It is true that we actually teach like COVID-19 forms. Even the teachers also have to change their role in the situation. I'm very happy that I should express this topic, with us today to address on such issues, the teacher's role in facilitating learning of English. Well, I think there is some technical issues. Sir, can you start now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can start with the keynote address now.
Please, sir.
Should I start?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, friends.
Hi, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, we
Yes,
hear
sir.
Yes,
you.
there
You're
seems to
audible.
be some technical errors, and we'll fix it in a minute. वही वही कर रहे हैं सर. I was already doing it. Yeah, yeah. उनका सुनो कर रहे हैं. Fix it. Time me. I didn't take it.
Yes, now it is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Perfectly now.
Okay, and I hope you can see me as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, shall I start now?
Please, sir. Please.
Once again, a very good morning to all of you. I'm grateful to my friends Mitul Trivedi, Professor Rajendra Singh Jadeja, Dr. Sulabha Natraj, and Professor Vasudevan Bose for having given me this wonderful opportunity of meeting more than 1,000 teachers of English all over India and perhaps abroad. The topic I've chosen this morning, the teacher's role in facilitating the learning of English. There are three key words in my title: the teacher, facilitating or facilitation, and the learner. In India, we teach English for about 15 years. 10 years of school, 2 years of junior college, and 3 years of senior college. And what is the end result? What is the end product? Most of our graduate students are unable to face an interview successfully for a job. They don't know how to apply effectively for a job. They are not able to speak for 10 minutes on a topic of their choice. Now, this raises a very important question for me. Why do we spend 15 years on the teaching of English with such disastrous results? Do we really need 15 years to learn the language? There's an institute in Pune, alias Français de Pune, which teaches French. There are courses only for 4 years. At the end of 4 years, a student is able to manage everything in French. He can watch films in French, he can discuss something with the director in French, and so on. The same happens in Maxime Darboven, where German is taught. So, why can't we teach English in just 4 years? I think 4 years are more than enough to master a language reasonably well. I really feel sorry with the situation that prevails now. Uh, if English can be taught in 4 years, I would suggest that if it begins in Standard 1, it should end with Standard 5. There's no need to teach English more. But what happens right now is that at the primary stage, we teach English ineffectively so that students hardly learn anything. Therefore, we teach again from standards 5 to 8. All grammar is covered before standard 8. From standard 9 onwards, we don't teach a single grammar topic, which is new. Now, why do we teach grammar in FYBA or TYBA? Grammar has already been taught. The problem is at every stage, we don't teach effectively. Now, what is meant by effective teaching or learning? Many teachers complain that even if they prepare themselves very well, they are academically advanced, they have done a lot of research. Why is it that students don't learn much? My complaint is that there is too much of teaching of English in India, but there is very little learning of English in India. And we should be able to do something to correct this situation. Even the new education policy hasn't taken this factor into account. They talk about teaching different languages, but they haven't said much about how to teach languages effectively. How can we ensure that there is learning of English on the part of students? Uh, this can be corrected in various ways. But if ideally we are able to do what I just said, if we are able to teach English in just 4 years, from standard 5 we can concentrate on other subjects and perhaps students can learn even through English medium. Why is it that we face this kind of situation? Why are we ineffective? As I said, there is too much of teaching of English in India. There is over teaching perhaps because the teacher does everything. The teacher prepares notes, the teacher dictates them, the teacher sees to it that students fare well in examinations. But unfortunately, first class in the MA examination doesn't guarantee any quality at all. We are not sure how the student managed to get first class or a higher second class. And I think this creates a lot of problems. One reason for this is the technique of lecturing that is used to a large extent right from the school up to the university level. Students don't get much opportunity of using English in the classroom. One of my sad observations is that right from the first standard up to MA, a student can go on without opening his mouth even once. Now, if the student is not required to open his mouth, how will he be able to express himself through speech when he is asked to speak on a topic for 2 minutes? So, we don't really prepare students for life. We prepare students for examinations. I have nothing against examinations. I am not suggesting that we must not prepare students for examinations. We must do that. Our students must do well in examinations. But what is more important is preparing them for life. Now, is there any conflict between preparing students for life and preparing students for examinations? I don't think so. At the same time, we can prepare students for examinations and for life. And therefore, we should encourage different kinds of habits on the part of our students. First of all, I think that we teachers need to change our habits. And as a lot of experts have suggested, there must be less lecturing on the part of the teacher, and there should be more activities on the part of students. I'm happy that this has been happening in many schools and colleges right now, but it should happen to a much greater extent. For example, does our education system really expect students to think on their own? I'm afraid it's not so. The teacher does all the thinking that is required. He prepares for a lecture and he gives all the basic information. When do we expect students to think? Do they think even in an examination? Because they don't even read the question carefully. They don't read every word in the question. They just look at one or two words and then they reproduce everything that they know about those two words. And they are able to get good marks. Therefore, in the classroom itself, it's very important to ask a lot of questions to our students. If the answer is wrong, that doesn't matter. We should encourage even wrong answers. Because if students realize why the answer is wrong, they learn a lot out of this. So we have to change our techniques. And I'd like to say that every teacher must be able to simplify his topic. And I'll just give you a few examples of how things can be simplified. For example, if we are teaching grammar, it's possible to draw pictures or diagrams so that even weaker students are able to understand what we are saying. The criterion I have in mind is the weakest student in the class must be able to understand what the teacher is saying. Right now, unfortunately, it is not so. Now, the teacher has to change himself if the weakest student should be able to understand him. First of all, we have to use much simpler vocabulary, much simpler grammatical constructions, and the teacher must go step by step, ensuring that every student understands him. If this happens, there will be no problem of discipline in the class. Because if the weakest student feels happy that he is able to understand, students will automatically come to the class. I am personally against marking attendance of students. It's not really necessary to compel students to attend our classes. If they think that they get something valuable in our classes, on their own, they'll start attending classes. So I really feel, this is my personal view, though administration requires us to mark attendance. Secondly, every student should be able to ask questions, should be able to ask difficulties. Every student should be bold enough to say, sorry sir, I don't understand this. I'd like to share with you two experiences. One of my experiences relates to Saurashtra University Rajkot, where I was a visiting professor for 10 days. On the 8th day of my program, one of the girl students approached me and somehow she was encouraged to ask me questions. And I would like to share the question that she asked with you, and this will tell us about the level of competence, the level of knowledge that our students all over India typically have. This was a student of MA English class, and she spoke to me in Hindi because her English was not very good, she thought. And she told me that she studied in a village, and she said that she did not have even a single good teacher of English so far. And she said she would like to ask me a few questions. She said that she was able to pass MA Part 1 and she was sure that she would be able to pass MA Part 2 as well. Now, this is due to the faulty examination system that we have. Surprisingly, the question the MA student asked me was, sir, what is the exact difference between do, does, and did? An MA English student asking this question. Of course, I tried to encourage her. I said, it's very good that you asked me this question because at least today you'll come to know what the difference is. Before I explained to her the difference, I asked her one simple question. The question was, if you don't know this difference among the three verbs do, does, and did, how did you manage to reach MA English class? And she said that this is due to the examination system. I asked her, how do you use English without knowing this? She said, sir, it's very simple. Sometimes I use do, after that I use did, and after that I use does. And she has been able to manage to reach MA, and she was sure she was going to pass MA also. Of course, I explained to her in very simple words what the difference was. And I said, I'm really very happy that you asked me this question. And do go on asking this question or such questions to your teachers. Now, this one example is representative of what happens all over India. I'm sure there are excellent students as well. This doesn't happen to everyone. But there is a large number of students who face these kinds of problems. Now the question that arises is, what use is 15 years of teaching of English? What difference has it made to her? Yesterday, there was a lot of reference to technology. And in fact, this webinar is possible thanks to technology. I know the valuable role that technology has been playing. But I would like to add a word of caution. There's a misunderstanding both among teachers and students that everything which is presented using technology is superior to what is presented not using technology. You know, a few years ago, we didn't use much technology in the classroom or even from home. And there were wonderful teachers of English. There were teachers of English who brought about a radical change in their students as far as language behavior is concerned. And I'm sure that all of us have been products of such great teachers. The question is, where are those great teachers? What has happened to them? Has the dependence on technology weakened us as teachers? And I'd like to share with you a real life experience. I attended a workshop and there was an expert making a PowerPoint presentation. And he was just reading out from the PowerPoint whatever he was saying. There was not a single word which was not there on the screen. So he just read out. I think this is a misuse of technology. And during his presentation, something went wrong with the computer and the computer stopped showing what he had prepared. I was shocked to find that after this, the teacher was not able to say a single sentence on his topic. Now, if technology stops working, why shouldn't the teacher be able to speak on his own? Why didn't he speak spontaneously? He waited for 20 minutes till the computer was repaired and then he began his presentation. Another example of misuse of technology and misunderstanding about technology. I have an undergraduate student in Pune who came to know me just by chance. And then I appreciate, even if he was very weak in English, he started taking interest. He started asking me a lot of questions. He asked me what he should do to improve his English and so on. All positive things. He was a hard-working student and he was prepared to do everything that I asked him to do. But some days ago, he wrote to me that he has started his YouTube channel and he asked me to listen to his YouTube channel and comment on that. I was shocked because his English is very, very weak. I know him very well. He makes mistakes in concord, agreement between subject and verb. He's not sure when to use S with the verb and so on. I didn't want to, uh, frankly speaking, I wanted to ask this student to stop his YouTube video center or whatever YouTube channel he had started. But I didn't want to hurt him, so I ignored his WhatsApp message. I didn't comment. I didn't listen to his YouTube channel, nor did I comment on that. After a few days, he reminded me. He asked me to give my comment. Still, I didn't say anything. But a little later, once again, he asked me. And I asked him a question. I asked him, why did you start this YouTube channel? Do you think you have mastered basic English very well? Do you think you make no mistakes in using English? He said, no, I'm trying to improve myself. I said, if you are trying to improve yourself, why don't you wait till you have satisfactorily improved yourself? Your YouTube, then I told him very frankly that your YouTube channel might have a bad effect on your friends. They'll listen to you, they will think you are right, and they'll try to imitate you. So I suggested that you should start a YouTube channel only when you are sure that your English is minimally adequate. I was happy to find that he said he never thought about this idea. He never thought about this problem. And I think he has stopped his YouTube channel. So simply thinking that because he's on a YouTube channel, he's superior, he has mastered English, this kind of wrong ideas are shared by a lot of people. And we should be very careful about this. So I would say that we have to develop our own excellence even without technology. For example, I must be able to learn grammar as a student. I must be able to speak English well with or without using technology. Technology, I don't think is obligatory, though I'm sure many of you would disagree with me because NAC and UGC have made such kinds of things compulsory. Uh, Going back to the issue of simplification, many teachers ask me, "Sir, how much should we simplify?" My answer is, you must simplify things to the extent to which the weakest student in your class will be able to understand you. You should be able to reach the weakest student. So wherever I conduct a class anywhere, I ask myself this question: is the weakest student in this hall able to understand me? If the honest answer is no, that means something is wrong with myself. Nothing is wrong with that student. You know, students are motivated, students are interested in learning, and I don't believe that there is any student anywhere in the world who is incapable of learning. Many times, teachers brand students as useless. Teachers think that a certain student will never learn anything. I've had some excellent teachers in my life, but I've had some bad teachers of English also in my life. And from such bad teachers, I have learned a lot. I have learned what not to do in the class. And I'm grateful to my bad teachers for teaching me that. I'm reminded of a comment which was made not about me individually, but about a lot of students in the MA English class at the University of Pune. I heard a teacher, contributory teacher, complaining to the head of the department, "These Marathi medium gundas don't deserve to be in this class." Now, I was a Marathi medium student and I overheard this. And I think this is an absolutely wrong approach to teaching and to students. What right did she have to describe all Marathi medium students as gundas? And who was she to decide that we don't deserve to be in the class? This teacher used to teach us Paradise Lost. And when I heard this comment, I was hurt. And I shared this with all my Marathi medium students in the class. Let me tell you that I decided never to attend her classes again. And I did not attend classes. But my paradise was not lost because I got first class at the MA English examination. The point I'm trying to make is that the teacher's attitude is very, very important. We have no reason to insult any student, even the weakest student, even the noisiest student, even the most indisciplined student. We don't have any right to insult any of them. Every student has his ego. A weak student has his ego, and we must be careful not to hurt it. You know, all of us, in fact, the society expects students to be respectful to teachers. That is fine. What about what about teachers respecting their students? Do we really respect all our students? Let me share with you a common experience that all of us must have had. In the morning, when the college starts, let's say at 8 o'clock, when the teacher goes to college, there are already a few students standing in the corridor. And a few students would definitely say, "Good morning, sir." I've seen many teachers not responding to this. They pretend not to look at the students, they pretend to be busy and just go on. I think this is the very first lesson where everything is going wrong. A greeting in English must be responded to. A teacher has no freedom, however busy he pretends to be, not to respond to a greeting by a student. It doesn't take 10 seconds to say good morning. And I was very particular about this. Whenever any student said good morning, I would stop for maybe half a minute And I would ask him one or two questions. How are you? How have you been doing? And so on. Imagine the amount of happiness that student will have when the teacher has responded to his good morning. And we as teachers, we have to impart learning, we have to impart knowledge, all that is fine. But I think the teacher's most important role is to impart happiness to students. Where is happiness in the English classroom? Many of us have taught Wordsworth's Daffodils, or our teachers have taught daffodils. Do you think students are happy to study this poem? First of all, they don't have the poem in front. They don't have the text. So they depend on whatever the teacher says about the poem. And the student's wrong attitude to the teacher in India is also responsible for this. Students wrongly think that the teacher can never be wrong. The teacher can be wrong. And as I said yesterday, occasionally I do tell my students that I don't know everything about English. I can make mistakes. Maybe I make very few mistakes, but I do make mistakes. What harm is there in sharing this with students? If a student asks a question and we are not sure, why can't we say, let me think about it. I'll answer it tomorrow. Why can't we say, let me ask a friend of mine who is better than me in English? Or let me refer to a dictionary. We teachers have to be honest, and we have to share this with our students. Let me give you an example of simplification that I've tried out in my own classes. Sometimes I ask a WH question which is difficult to answer. And if a student cannot answer it, then I ask him a yes-no question relating to the same. So I would ask him, do you think Wordsworth is a nature poet? I would deliberately ask him a simple question. Such a simple question that he will give a correct answer. Now, what is the point in doing that? First of all, I want him to get happiness that he has given a correct answer. I would like him to be confident. And yesterday there was a mention of this, that a teacher must be able to create confidence in the mind of a student. I agree. But confidence is not enough. We must be able to create happiness in the student's mind. I've conducted a lot of workshops, more than 100 workshops on spoken English or conversational English. And I give a guarantee to organizers. I say, if there are 100 students in your class, please tell me who the weakest student is according to you. And I will guarantee that within 1.5 hours, that weakest student will come to the stage and speak 2 or 3 sentences in English. I can give a written guarantee of that. No doubt this student will make mistakes. That is not a problem. But giving confidence requires just 1.5 hours. That is my experience. And we should be able to change our attitude and the students' attitude to the learning of English. I believe that whatever we cannot enjoy, we cannot learn. We cannot learn anything that we cannot enjoy. Now you and I have learned English, hopefully, because we have enjoyed learning English. And our teachers have created enjoyment in the classroom. While teaching grammar or while teaching anything, we can use cartoons in the class. We produced a textbook for the University of Pune for FYBA. In the textbook there were cartoons and there were pictures of different kinds. We deliberately included a unit on Indian films, and there was a short story about filmmaking and so on. We must make every effort to make things interesting for students. Because if they are able to enjoy that, they are able to learn much faster. Let me give you an example. Recently, I delivered a webinar on the teaching of tenses. Now, how to teach tenses effectively? I suggested that giving them rules from the textbook is of no use. No one has learned how to use tenses by reading those rules. But what I did was, I tried to establish a connection between tenses and expressions of time. I was trying to simplify for weak students. I said, we use simple present tense whenever there are words like every day, generally, usually, once a week, etc. We use present continuous tense when we have expressions like now, at present, at the moment, and so on. Isn't this simpler for the weaker student? Then I tried to use some diagrams which would explain the uses of tenses. Prepositions can be taught by using diagrams. Unfortunately, I cannot demonstrate this right now, but by drawing very simple diagrams, and I'm particularly bad at drawing, but even then I can draw diagrams, and diagrams convey what words cannot convey. And the weakest student is able to understand that. Uh, I'd like to stop within 2 minutes, but I'd like to say that teachers need to be more accountable. We are not accountable at all to anyone. I would suggest we must be accountable to ourselves first of all. Forget about the government, forget about the principal and so on. Now, what do I mean by this? We must be interested in the product. Uh, these are the days of corporate life, and in corporate life, results are very, very important. If a worker cannot produce something, he will not be paid. Now, what do we produce? Do we produce students who have reasonable mastery over English? Do most of them have minimal mastery over English? The answer seems to be no. I'd like to compare a teacher of English with a doctor. In some sense, our students are like patients and we are like doctors. Now, can a doctor say that I'm a wonderful doctor, I know everything about medicine, but my patients are so horrible that no medicine works on them? This is exactly what teachers say. I'm good, I'm conscientious, I'm responsible, but my students are horrible. Now, if a patient has 10 problems and a doctor cannot treat all those 10 problems at the same time, the doctor will decide which 2 problems he should solve first. The doctor will look after the patient's heart. Maybe he will look after the patient's brain. Now, our students also have numerous problems. If I'm a successful teacher, I would concentrate on just 2 of those problems if I'm going to teach students for 1 year. And at the end of 1 year, if there is improvement in those 2 areas, I'm a great teacher. I can't bring about 10% improvement in the students because progress is relative. And I would like to say that if we are able to do this, the reward is very great satisfaction. We often talk about the Best Teacher Award. I think the Best Teacher Award is given not by the university, not by the principal, but by students. And whatever image we have in the minds of students, that is our reward. I think I've overrun time allotted to me. There are a lot of other things I would have liked to say, but I'd like to stop here and so that there is some time for questions and answers. I'd like to wish all of you the best of luck and happiness as teachers of English. Once again, this happiness as teachers of English is very, very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, now I understand why you were awarded the best teacher. I was in Pune in 2001.
But I got only one Best Teacher Award in my life, and I have friends who got 60 Best Teacher Awards, who managed to get 60 Best Teacher Awards.
Okay, managed to get. I'm happy that you focused on two, important aspects. That is bringing confidence along with happiness in learners. I'm sure that the participants would like to ask a few questions on this.
Most
Please.
welcome. Sure.
I would like to invite Professor Sulba Nataraj ma'am to share her views on this keynote address.
Sure.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, when I heard the word happiness, and when Professor Gokhale said that happiness should be the outcome of everything, and that it is through happiness that we learn. I was reminded of what somebody had said long ago, that universities don't teach happiness. It's only teachers who do, and I think it's only teachers who can make people feel happy. So that was an excellent point made by you, Professor Gokhale. This is
Thank you.
what we really need to remember, because if we are to be in this profession for a long time, then unless we enjoy doing our work, uh, I don't think we'll be able to sustain ourselves. Very soon there will be burnout. About, I mean, teachers teaching rather than interacting. That is something very important for the new teachers also today. Um, they take on the responsibility of teaching everything to students. So they explain everything so much so that there is hardly any time for students to interact. So yes, the teachers need to interact with students and allow students to interact with one another rather than continue to teach. But it was an excellent presentation. It was a joy listening to you, Dr.
Thank
Mithun.
you. It was a joy talking to you.
Thank you. So, yes, over to Mithun.
So, sir, there are a number of things that people are writing in the comments section of the live presentation, and some of them I would like to, share with you. Some people have said that it is believed in Indian tradition that a happy soul is always a better learner, and you have exactly focused on that. And I believe that that was the gist, and the confidence that a teacher requires to build in students is probably the key to make them learn and make them willing to learn more and more. So I think there are several comments coming up, but I would like to request both now to take over and to give his final comments and conclude the session.
Thank you.
Can I suggest one thing, Mitul?
Yes, sure,
Hello?
sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I'd like to answer at least one question asked by the audience, because, we often keep listening to experts, but I'd like to listen to a teacher of English who has
Right,
some problem. At least one.
right. Yes, yes, yes. So I would like to invite the senior people present on this panel today. If you have any queries or any question to raise, uh, please do that. So one question that came in this online forum is that uh, what is the role of a teacher of language in this technological world? Because many people say that they don't get to interact directly with the students, especially they have witnessed this thing in last 4 or 5 months, and they say that there seems to be creating a lot of interaction gap between them. So how could teachers can bridge that gap?
I totally agree with what was said. This true that during these days of pandemic, there have been problems with interactions, but I would suggest that a teacher should encourage his students to ring him up and have a discussion, ask questions, because anyway we are able to save some time because we don't have to go to college every day. So uh, interaction through the telephone, I think, is much more lively and more lifelike than interaction through WhatsApp and so on. When the corona is over, I would say a teacher can suggest to students that we'll meet in the canteen tomorrow at 11. We'll have tea, and anyone can ask any questions. It doesn't have to be a formal classroom. I believe a teacher is a teacher for 24 hours and not from 10 to 5. So
And
there are a lot of ways of doing that. Thank you.
and we could understand that, sir, when you gave example of a doctor, that a teacher like a doctor should be available 24 hours a day
Yes.
for all the solutions.
Yeah.
Please, Dr. Booth, you can take over now.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. It was really a pleasure to listen to you, sir. I'm sure that the participants benefited a lot from this, and we can continue the discussion even after this program. The time limit I had to worry about. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So here is the end of the second keynote address by Professor Sridhar Gokhale sir. I'm sure all participants listening across the nation and even beyond our borders must have enjoyed it immensely. It was the experience and academic maturity that could be observed through the words of wisdom, I would say, by Professor Gokhale sir. Now we have another session and we will take another 3-4 minutes to set that up. And the next session will be an intellectual deliberations session, and it will be presented by Dr. Rosalia ma'am and Dr. Ashok Sachdeva sir. So we'll join you within a couple of minutes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Mute.
हाँ हाँ ये Hello.
Just a moment, ma'am. We will join you in a couple of minutes.
Okay, okay.
Thank you for your patience. We are all set to start our second intellectual deliberations session. Uh, we are running short of time, but we have wonderful speakers, so we'll not consider the factor of time today. We have two eminent scholars uh, and friends of our institute for a long time. We have with us Dr. Rosalia Bonjour and Dr. Ashok Sachdevasa. Dr. Rosalia, ma'am, is the professor and head of the Department of English, MITS, Andhra Pradesh. She has been involved in teaching of English for several years now, and she has experience of teaching of English at every level in the education system. She has immensely contributed to the field of research in English, and she mainly deals with language studies. And we are really fortunate to have you here with us, ma'am, today. And I'm sure your insight and your experience will definitely help a lot of students, a lot of academic practitioners uh, all across the nation. Another speaker today is of an equal reputation and equal scholastic abilities, Professor Ashok Sachdevasa. He's the professor in government Mata Jijabai Girls PG College at Indore, and he is one of the most senior scholars, not only in the state of Madhya Pradesh, but also in India. He's a big name and he has delivered his sessions at various national and international forums. His association with the biggest international associations and organizations in the field of English is noteworthy. And we are really honored to have you with us, sir, today. You have always helped us carrying out all our academic events successfully, and today you have joined us. It is simply a matter of honor and privilege. On behalf of everyone involved in this conference and everyone involved in the organizing committee as well as the advisory committee of this conference, I would like to extend uh, my greetings to you and a heartfelt welcome to you. So we'll start now. The first speaker I would like to invite today is Rosalia, ma'am. Ma'am, you will have 15 to 17 minutes for this talk. And now the stage is yours, ma'am. There are thousands of people listening to you, and we are waiting for your words to come. Rosalia,
Thank
ma'am,
you.
please.
Thank you. So good morning once again to everybody on the panel and all the participants. And I'm really privileged to be here because as I told Dr. Mithul, to be a part of any program which he organizes is a privilege. So I'm very happy that I'm here on this program. And before I begin, I would also like to make one more comment about Dr. Gokhale's talk. I think Dr. Gokhale has brought all the points into the fold. So it's basically, I think, what the rest of us may be doing is a repetition of what he said, but he has resounded and echoed everything which we feel as English teachers. So my presentation is in three parts. I focus on higher education, English literature and language, and then a little bit on research. So I'll just start presenting.
जी 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 हम्म, ओके,
So is there any possibility to shift your class or arrange the class? Let me see. I'll try. I'll inform you. Yeah. Mm. 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 Okay, no issues. So, mm. 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 Just a minute, just a minute. We have facing problem online. I'll call you back.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the problem over there. Now, as I said, I'm going to talk on higher education, English language and literature. Am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So it's in three parts, as you can see. Now, just have a look at this quote by Dr. Ambedkar. This is something which I think Dr. Gokhale has brought out very clearly in his talk.
આ પ્રેઝન્ટ કરતા હોય પણ આપણે દેખાતું નથી
Dr.
એના માટે હું
Ambedkar says the university should provide facilities of education to the students who are intellectually capable, who do not have the advantage, the financial advantage.
પિન કરી દીધું
But is that actually happening? This is a question we need to ask ourselves. Is this actually happening today? Because in many cases, we know
હા
students who do not have money, who do not have funds, cannot attend a good college.
કરી દીધું
They may get education elsewhere, but that's not in a good college which can help them intellectually. So, this is a problem we need to think about. There are colleges which are receiving capitation fees, donations, hefty donations. You take even medical colleges. What I hear is it's 3 crores as donation. So 3 crores is not a sum we can just pull out of a money plant and give people. So from where do we get that kind of money? And if a student is really capable, why should that financial problem become a problem for his life? Why should it deny him education which he deserves? This is a question we need to ask ourselves. Now we look at the next quote by Dr. Radhakrishnan. His quote very clearly says, the university needs to send out technically skilled, professionally competent people. That means the students, when they come out of the college, should be professionally competent. They should be technically skilled. They should have the quality of compassion. Now, again, here we need to ask ourselves this question. Does that actually happen? Is that actually happening? There are students, as Dr. Gokhale said, there are students who come out after the university education, but they don't get a job. They cannot get placed because they don't know the language, they don't have the skills, and to add another point, many of them don't have the quality of compassion. See, 3 years ago, there was a case in Chennai. I'm not sure whether people are aware of this. There were 2 medical college students who were arrested because they took a dog, a stray dog, and dropped it from the 7th floor of their building. And they watched as the dog cried and fell. They took pictures of that. The dog broke its leg. It was hospitalized. And now it has been taken care of by one person who had sympathy on it. So these are future doctors, medical doctors. Medical doctors are supposed to have compassion, just like teachers are supposed to have that love and happiness when they teach students. So Are we actually churning out students who are compassionate? Are we churning out students from colleges who are technically skilled and professionally competent? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. Because education has become a commodity today. It is sold to the highest bidder. That's what is happening in most of our colleges, unfortunately. Now let's look at the aims of university education. I put up a few aims over here. Enriching the mind and promoting creativity among people. How do we enrich the mind?
हाँ सर
If the student is not motivated to study, if the student doesn't want to study, how do we enrich his mind? Is it only bookish knowledge which is sufficient when we teach in the classes? Or do we need to give him some more practical knowledge? When we talk of the earlier system of education, the Gurukul system, I don't think the Gurukul system lacked any of these points. They had both. Because there, the students were like a family for the Guru.
ओके सो थ्री थ्री
Are our
का स्टार्ट
students
करें और
members of our
3:30 को
family
खत्म
for
करें
us? Are we motivated teachers? Very important. If we do not have that quality of motivation in us, how can we motivate others?
जी
So, are we able to promote creativity among the students? And when they come out of university education, can they contribute? Now, let's take up another point over here. Empowering people
Yes, sir.
through development of knowledge, skills, and values. So, this is the aim of university education, empowering people. The people are our students through the development of knowledge, skills, and values. Now, this is where we need to even look at our examination system. Marks are given on the basis of
यस सर थैंक
you
यू
know what. Okay? The student may not have enough of knowledge. He mugs up by rote. He answers. And those students are marked accordingly. Now, does a student need to vomit exactly what he has read in the book? Or can he use his own understanding to create the same kind of a language, to bring in a different kind of a language, but with the same meaning? Is he allowed creativity over there? Many places we do not allow it. I have been the chairman of exams, of board exam, of university exams,
हेलो
and there I see when the answer scheme is prepared, many times it is told, whatever is there in the answer scheme, you write. You correct that only. Nothing should be outside that. What I'm saying is, when preparing an answer scheme, the person doing so may have three options in his mind. He may not give it to another person to check it. For example, let's take a preposition. Now, sometimes in a blank, a three or four prepositions could fit in. The examiner, the paper setter, the person who has prepared the marking scheme has just fitted in two. But while correcting, an examiner finds out there is a third option which is right, which can be used. But unfortunately, that examiner doesn't have the discretion to use it. So we are going for bookish knowledge. Is that going to help? How do we improve the efficiency and productivity of the social sector system? This is when we ask students to do projects. They are asked to take up projects. Now, most of the time it is projects which the teacher can handle. If it is something challenging, it is not given to the student. I have several students coming and telling me this. And they question, ma'am, is it because people do not get other jobs that they become teachers? Now, this is a very serious question. It echoes what Dr. Gokhale said. We want respect from our students. Do we respect them? Do we actually get that respect? How do we get that respect? Respect doesn't always come from fear. It comes from love. The respect which comes from fear is a different kind of respect. You know, those of you who are teachers, you know, students may come and wish you good morning. They may smile at you, but the next minute they may curse you. That's not respect. But if they really come and wish you, they want to come and help you, you can feel it when they come near you. You can see it on their faces. So as teachers, do we have that capacity in us to get that kind of respect from our students? Or is it that they tell us, because you don't get another job, you become a teacher? Now let's look at some of the problems and weaknesses of higher education. There are many. I've just listed a few over here. Admission of undeserving students. Who are these undeserving students? As is it like Dr. Ambedkar said, the students who are financially incapable of providing themselves a job and education, but they are intellectually capable? No, I'm not talking those students. I'm talking of students who are not fit for that education. But they get admission on the basis of reference, on the basis of the donation. These kinds of things are happening. Now, look at the other point over here. No provision to assess excellence in universities or colleges. Today, ranking of colleges has become a norm, especially among engineering colleges. It's a race, it's a fight to the top. Now, I have seen colleges which have come to the 10th rank in a particular year, but for the next 5 years, they show that 10th rank, even though they have come to the 160th rank. Why? Because if they get a ranking, a good ranking, admissions are assured. Because parents look at the website, okay, this college is ranked very well, my child should go there. Now, is there any proper provision to rank colleges? That's missing. Okay? Is it on the basis of how much you pay to get the ranking? Because you have the Times of India ranking, you have a magazine called 360 Degrees ranking. So how are they ranking the colleges? What is the criteria they follow? That is not known. But if there is a provision by which ranking can be streamlined, ranking can be adjusted, structured properly, then we know we are doing the right job. Now, we know of the practice, as I already mentioned, the practice of collecting capitation fee or donations for admission. Engineering admissions are basically sold on the basis of donation. You pay 7 lakhs, you pay 10 lakhs, whatever it is, you will get admission. Is that correct? Political interference. Why do politicians have to interfere in higher education? There is interference in some places. Okay, it's not something that we can turn our backs to and say, no, it's not happening. It is happening. Now, look at the other point, which I want to deal with here very carefully. Emphasis on research alone, not on quality teaching. Now, this is a point which Mr. Prakash Javadkar, when he was the Human Resource Minister, he mentioned it very clearly. That I'll just give you the sum up of what he said. He said there should not be any emphasis on research for promotion. Doing research for the sake of doing is not doing it at all. Okay? So we are just vomiting out some research papers which may not have quality, and that's not required. So what teachers need to focus on is quality teaching and do some activity with students' involvement. Because if that happens, yes, then the teacher is successful. Then your promotions can be taken care of. So basically, it is something which personally I feel there should be a segmentation in the department or in the college where, those who are actually capable of doing research should be assigned research. Those who are actually capable of teaching should be given teaching. Because as yesterday one of the guests had mentioned, everyone who's a researcher cannot be a teacher, and everyone who's a teacher cannot be a researcher. So I think these points are very valid, and we need to take it into consideration when we look at the problems and weaknesses of higher education. And if we have to make higher education something really of value, of great value, then we need to look at removing some of these problems. Everything cannot go at once, but maybe one by one. Now, the new education policy. I'm only focusing on adult education over here. So what have they focused on? They're going to they've spoken about a few points over here. Now, foundational literacy and numeracy. This is talking about how important English is at the foundation level. When a child joins school, how important foundational literacy is. Math, that is also necessary. But let's look at English, because we are from English background. Now, again, as Dr. Gokhale mentioned, there is no much of emphasis on English. So we are talking of teaching in the mother tongue. So if you teach in the mother tongue, then you're putting English on the back burner. You're not going to bother about it. And if a child has to study English later on, how much of motivation is he going to have to study? Will he be able to study? Everything depends. Now, teachers also need to teach in the bilingual. Is that going to help? Because what I have seen is, see, for example, I was teaching a few students from a design institute. I was teaching them communication skills, training them on communication skills. And these students were from Delhi and Noida. And these students told me, they said, ma'am, aap Hindi mein padhao. You know Hindi, why don't you teach us in Hindi? My answer was to them, if I teach you communication skills in English, through Hindi, how successful are you going to be to learn English? You will not be able to communicate in English. So we need to understand these things, right? Critical skills, critical life skills, they need to understand all these things. What are these critical life skills they need to have? What are the vocational skills they need to have? Okay. Now, these are some of the challenges which I've listed out over here, the challenges of teaching English. Now, the new education policy is going to, I'm sure, create some issues for us where we look at the challenges of English. What is the position of English in India today? What is it going to be with their new education policy coming in? Students are coming from diverse linguistic backgrounds. What is the motivation? There are teachers who are not trained properly. Are they following proper methods of teaching? All these points we need to look at. Now, English is important. We know the reasons why English is important. Okay, so I've just listed a few points here. It's the language of media and internet. Today, internet is our life. We can't do without the internet. Okay, now when internet is our life, the language on the internet is English. So there are 565 billion people using English, using the internet every day. So they need to know English. You need English to ace an interview. English is the language of science, aviation, etc. It's the global language of communication. So can we ignore such a language? Can we just throw it on at the back and wonder what to do later? Now, I have brought in literature also. So literature is an important part. As a language teacher today, I still feel English literature has a very important part to play in our life. It teaches critical thinking. It helps us to be a little more creative. We get a chance to discover the world through the stories, the poems. Teaching grammar, just grammar. What is a verb? What is a noun? What is an adjective? The parts of speech. All these things, clauses, everything. It's okay. But if you bring in literature, it makes a world of difference for them. Okay? Because it helps them to even increase their ability to write. So can literature be brought into the language classroom? Yes, it can. I'm doing that. I bring literature into the language classroom. I give them an abridged edition of Macbeth, just the story, the summary of Macbeth. And I ask them to find out the verbs in that. You can use it for language. You can ask them to summarize it, write a précis on it. There are so many ways we can use it. Because literature brings life into the language classroom. This is a reality, what I can tell you. Now, why is research important? We need to research several things. Okay, we are faculty from different institutions. Some institutions may, emphasize on research, which becomes mandatory for us. So we need to do a lot of research. What does an English teacher research? So the teacher has to see how the language works, to modify teaching practices. Okay, to see what things we have done in the class, why are they not working? How can I make them work? Can mentoring work? Now, this mentoring is very important. It was brought out by Dr. Sulabha yesterday also. Mentoring is not only students mentoring other students, but faculty, senior faculty mentoring the junior faculty, teaching them what practices are going to be effective in your classroom. Try them out. What methods you can try, what materials you can use. And when we talk of critiquing research, yes, these are some questions we need to ask when critiquing research. But at the same time, if a senior teacher is there to help out the junior teachers and understand them, give them a proper reason why their paper is not good, why what they have worked on is not suitable, they will be able to do it better. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was wonderful listening to you and a detailed presentation. I must share with you that there are so many people requesting your presentation, a copy of your presentation. So we would like to request you to send the copy of your presentation to us so that we can send it to all the participants. It was a wonderful talk. It focused on various challenges, some policy issues, as well as the possibilities in which we could build up our future generations. So thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful talk and wonderful presentation. I actually would like to have a copy of your presentation with me as well. So, and now, would like to invite Professor Ashok Sachdeva, sir. I have already introduced him, but he is a very, very close friend and he is a scholar par excellence. He has been a source of inspiration and motivation to young people like me, and he has immensely helped us in most of our academic endeavors throughout these years. So, sir, I really feel happy, honored, and privileged to invite you to deliver your session. Sir, 15 minutes is the time limit for us. Please, sir, the stage is yours.
Good morning to all of you. A very good morning to all of you and the Institute. I'm extremely thankful to the host institution on organizing such a wonderful conference, a platform for interaction, and to Dr. Mitul Trivedi for organizing and being a very dynamic and a very great academic leader. Actually, my topic is about the new syntactical, semantic, and new lexical patterns in English. As we see that, we have, this is really an intellectual, this is a deliberation on my part. You may call it intellectual deliberation, or semi-intellectual, or quasi-intellectual, is for you to decide. But these days, in the age of COVID era, in the COVID-19 era, we can see that there has been torrents of new words emerging. And we have neologisms. The floodgates of knowledge have flung open, and the doors of ignorance have slammed shut. And you know, these words are mushrooming, and because of this, there is immunity of these words is too high. Now, the new coinage of words has not been very recent. It has been since old. Shakespeare coined 2,000 words, and then Charles Dickens gave the word doormat, and the list is endless. But in the COVID era, we have the, a lot of vocabulary. So this is going to change the direction of our teaching material. For example, reading comprehension exercises. We have reading exercises. We have writing tasks, debates, extempore, and the writing skills, paragraphs, and expansion of ideas, and so on. And the frequency of vocabularies has brought about a great metamorphosis. So we can say, due to technical glitch, I have a PPT of almost 73 slides ready, which I am unable to show you at the moment. But let me see if I can. The screenshot is the PPT is on my laptop, and my laptop is shows the malfunction at the moment. It's a new Dell laptop, and so I'm not able to share it on the laptop, though I was trying to log in. But if you give me any other slot during the course of the day, just a minute. If my PPT is opening in the laptop, but not able to share. So in the COVID vocabulary, you can see many words like quarantine, self-isolation, and the community spread. Many words have emerged. So how are we going to inculcate them into our teaching? So if Dr. Mitul, can you give me another slot? Because I'm just...
Sir, you can just give an oral presentation. And what we'll do is we'll collect the PPT from you and we'll share that among all the participants later on.
Okay. So we can see that.
So you can just give an oral presentation main ideas you can discuss, and later on we'll definitely send it across to all the participants.
Yeah. So actually, my presentation is exploring the study of neolexis and then the syntactical and semantic patterns, and also the stylistic and pragmatic concerns as they appear, and how English is used in a print media and the digital and electronic media literature. We
Sir, end the network issue. बिजनेस करतो चलिए काम है अपनों सर जोड़े तो वैसे અત્યારે હિતેશ સર માટે સમય છે
For example, the I will discuss a few words like covidiot and covidient. Co-idiot is a combination of coronavirus and idiot. The person who does not follow the regular social distancing and someone who ignores the warning regarding public safety. Obedient is a combination of coronavirus and obedient. So it's just the opposite word. Another word is coronavirus, novel coronavirus. COVID-19 is again a new word. And then self-quarantine, isolation, and such super spreader transmission, stay-at-home sort of things. So we can see that Oxford Dictionary is updated 4 times a year. And 3 new words with productive frenzy. In September alone, more than 500 new words were added, and as you know, has contributed a lot. And since now, this has been the torrential flood of the new words during this COVID era. So I'm considering the last 4-5 months period. So these are created, neologisms are created whenever new objects or situation need a name. And a character feature is that speakers are not accustomed to them, and this gains momentum through the usage. So we have English actually is going under a great metamorphosis these days. We are aware of the internet neologisms. And so many words like crowdsourcing, geo-bragging, noob, and so many words have come up. And we have, recently there was a movie, as you know, phonetics, netizens, and so on. The word blog itself is made up from web and blog. And then the word confuzzled, like confused and puzzled. So these are the various changes which refers to the problem with the eyesight that began or worsened during the period of the COVID-19. And then space marshal is the new word which has been, these are the words of August 2017. Someone whose job is to make sure people are obeying the rules of physical distancing in places such as shops and libraries. Anti-masker who avoid wearing the mask. And then so you have the word vacation, stay at home, staycation, homecation, and such words have emerged. I'll be as soon as I'll email it to you so that. And then the words pandemic, and from the pandemic, infodemic, and spandemic means the spandemic. You spend explain with heavy explanation, giving too much of explanation is boom explain. For example, they'll say, let us boom explain me. Another word that has gained momentum is like we have human beings, so we have virtual human beings. So these are various, and the doorbuster, kitten fishing, gaslighting. The word gaslighting has been adopted in psychology, which refers to manipulation of various kinds. Gaslighting has emerged as a new psychology among the narcissist behavior or the psychopath and sociopath behavior. So we have, I avoid the theory part and try to bring point the home. So what is the theory behind that, and what is the rationale behind this of and how they are created? This is not a forceful combination, but the natural evolution and the growth of these words, and most of the words are getting inducted into the dictionaries. So many words, hundreds of words are added on a quarterly basis in the Oxford Dictionary, as you can see. So it's a linguistic phenomena, and as you know that linguistics is descriptive. It describes all the changes that are taking place in the language community and should account for that. So there may be various techniques, the theory part. It may be borrowings, maybe compounding, maybe affixation, maybe assimilation, maybe blending. So I'm not going into the technical part of that. So the types of they represent every register of language use, scientific, technological, political, legal, and almost all the language we can see this phenomena. So this, like COVID-19 has been phenomenal, so has been a great phenomena of these. We know about the Yahoo, Twitter, cyberspace, freelance, such words as we have known, workaholic, pedestrian. So we can analyze them by means of morphological analysis. Phonetic experimentation can be conducted, and they later on can be inducted into the dictionaries. Like the word Brexit gained a lot of momentum, and from the Brexit we had various other such words. Selfie is a new word, and from selfie you have Eufy, Wi-Fi, Bothi, and so on. Various. Similarly, we have the words like garlic bread, blarification. Blarification is something explaining something in all caps. For example, the use would be the president walked back his earlier tweet with an unhinged blarification. So such words are occurring in the Daily Mail, the Daily Graph, USA newspapers. So we can see that there is a lot of storming of these words. And another word that is, we know that certain words have become popular, like blame storming. I think I'll not be able to cover the syntactical new sentence patterns emerging, and also the new phrases and the new ways of expression, and also the semantic and the pragmatic concerns that are evolving. So I would confine my topic. And as far as the other stylistic devices, let me name a few for the syntactical. For the case, number, comparatives, and superlatives are being used in a newer sense. So we have, for example, I gave you the case of a number, or the comparatives and superlatives, none the better for seeing you. Our depression is not lessened by the reminder. We are not the less depressed for the reminder. So these various examples have been collected from the newspapers, which show that how the jingles are now being created, and the use of alliterations in literature, repeated propositions as they take place, and the sequence of relatives that in a specific sense have been used. And then metrical prose, examples of metrical prose, and then you have unequal expressions. Unequal expression, the example from the Telegraph is, the conception of God to their mind was not that of a father, but as a dealer out of rewards and punishment. And the ellipsis, one example of ellipsis would be, I have now seen him, and thou not for long. He is a man who speaks with Bismarckian frankness. And there are illegitimate infinitives that are being used. For example, the constant failure to live up to what we claim to be our most serious convictions proves that we do not hold them at all. So these are some of the examples. And we have split infinitives, which are very common, and this is a way that can be covered into the comma, that is included into the common error, but it is being used as a matter of deviance in literature. The time has come to once again voice the general discontent, or it should be authorized to immediately put in hand such work. So there are such various split infinitives, and the causal as clauses are being used. So there are various sentence constructions that have and compound passives, and the negative confusion with the negatives Those, there are many such linguistic phenomena is being observed, and the grammar and the linguistics has to be that they and the use of and the example of impersonal one that if one has an opinion on any subject, it is of little use to read books or papers which tell you what you know already. This was published as sent in the taken from Times. And then we have the use of between, do as a substitute verb, and so many vulgarism and colloquialism are also being used. Sorry. Vulgarism and colloquialism, one example would be, since that were degrading me like they have many others. This was a sentence in Daily Telegraph. And there's no moral force in existence which enlarges our outlook. The suffering does. Delegate. I'm sorry that I've not been able to show my PPT. My new laptop is showing some kind of malfunction. And redundancies, the use of redundancies in literature. So many examples have been collected from literature and the newspaper articles. And the maltreated idioms, which gave a very creative use of the language. For example, dying at a ripe old age of 83, Westminster Gazette is an example. An opportunity should be afforded the enemy of retiring networks, something. So whenever you want me, I can, Dr. Trivedi, I can just, and there's an example of double emphasis also. Double emphasis, I give you the example from the Times. We shall fail to secure that unanimity of thought and doctrine so indispensable both for. So another example is spilt auxiliaries. Spilt auxiliaries are being used in the newspaper or journalism. For example, I recognize this truth and always have recognized it. Another example of this, visitors no longer can drive in open carriages along the littoral. It still is the fact his mind was essentially the mind of a poet. So there is a wonderful use of these spilt auxiliaries. And then we have overloading. Overloading in writings, for such lyrics and truth really been you can see that's different from other we are aware of foregrounding devices, repetition and emphasis, inversion, so on. Some of them are allusions which are being used in a newer sense. And then there is ambiguity. Ambiguity is a very, because our traditional grammar has not been able to account for the ambiguities, but the modern grammar and modern linguistics has enough tools to disambiguate many of the complex sentences which may have 6 meanings or 10 meanings in a given sentence. For example, I gave you the sentence, the police were told to stop drinking after midnight, has as many as 6 meanings. And so we can equally analyze with the tools of the linguistic tools that at hand that are available with us. So in a style, the circumlocution and the other sort of devices, linguistic devices are there. And sometimes we are making omission of the conjunction that and which and the relative pronouns and how language is evolving in a different manner. So this is, and the unequal and defective double sort of expressions that are emerging. And then we have the article, the use of articles, and of course the article features that are associated with the noun phrases have their semantic value, and they can give lot of interpretation when we go to the analysis of the text and interpretation of the text as such. And then applying those tools, we can interpret from the poem or piece of prose and so on. So with this, Dr. Mithul, I'm sorry for any inconvenience. I'm extremely sorry that I couldn't share my PPT, and which I'm sending you soon for display. And you have given me an opportunity. You have been a loving friend, I appreciate your dynamism and leadership qualities, and I have seen for the last 4 or 5 years, right since 2014 till now, I have also learned a lot from you that how you organize and manage your conferences, and with your proactive approach, dynamism, and leadership quality. You are full of gusto and enthusiasm, and I congratulate
Thank
the
you, sir.
host institution and to Dr. Trivedi for giving me this an opportunity. Sorry for my lapses, because nowadays we need to depend on the technology and the PPT, because
We do
in
understand.
physical sort of a conference you have lot of margins, lot of scope, and lot of variations to accommodate yourself to. But in this time slot of online presentation, you have to be very specific, and the time slot has been given to you, and you have to show your PPT and convince. So
We do
I think
understand
this
these
is
things,
more
sir.
challenging. Presenting paper and on online is more challenging, because you can't see the audience here when you are speaking, and you cannot
But
notice the reaction. So thank you so much. I'm sorry
thank
for
you.
any
Thank you.
inconvenience. Thank you
No,
so
no,
much.
thank you so much, sir. Your presentation was wonderful. And we all would love to have your PPT with us soon. And uh, your interest in the area of stylistics and how lexical revolutions are happening all around the world in terms of world Englishes that are emerging is something so precious in Indian context, because not many people are doing research on world Englishes and how the language is transforming in the global scene. So thank you for a wonderful talk, and I would also like to thank Rosalia ma'am for giving a wonderful talk and a brilliant presentation. We conclude this session and with a very sincere note of gratitude. I would like to end this session. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful presentation. And we look forward to have association with you as friends and as an institution. And I'm sure that in coming times we'll have opportunities to take up several research projects together as well, and we could work on all these challenges that we have been discussing in last 2 days. So thank you. And here I officially announce the end of this intellectual deliberation sessions. Thank you so much, sir, once again. And I applaud, and along with me, all these viewers are applauding your presentations. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure for me to have on the panel Professor Hitesh Ravia, sir. And we have been waiting for your presence in the conference since yesterday, but we do know and do realize how busy you are, and so many things you have to deal with every day. But we are really fortunate to have you here today with us.
Thank
We'll
you.
have our second plenary today, and for that we have two eminent people who are contributing immensely to their university, respective universities, as well as to the field of English and the development of English, not only in the state of Gujarat but also at the national level. I'll introduce both of them. And first, I would like to introduce Dr. Kashmira Mehta ma'am. She is the Dean of the Faculty of Arts in the Kutch University. She is in this field for more than 2 decades, 3 decades now, and her contribution to the field of research is immense. Her name is a brand in the Saurashtra region, and her name is also popular among the various parts of India because of her immense contribution. She is she has undertaken various projects not only of her own university or the state of Gujarat, but also she has accomplished various projects from the UGC as well as from the various international organizations. And we are really fortunate and honored to have your presence, ma'am, today with us. And thank you for accepting our invitation to deliver a plenary session. And that actually makes this conference very special for all of us. And when we have such an exceptionally brilliant speaker, it was really difficult for the organizing committee to find a person who could chair a persona that Professor Kashmira Mehta ma'am has. And we all had a consensus to invite on the name of the institute, on the name of personal friendship to Hitesh Ravia sir to be a chair of this session because he is the Dean of the Faculty of Arts in Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda. And I would like to say one thing, and it's very personal, but I would like to share that if there are 100 conferences organized in India in this particular pandemic, he must have received invitation from all. And, and he is so dear to this field of academics, especially in our English discipline, that he is invited at various places, not only in India but abroad. He looks after the major publication houses and he is a consultant. He is an expert consultant to various internationally renowned publication houses. He is consultant to various universities for the development of academic excellence in their respective universities. And his contribution is immense. Even if I had an entire slot, I could not have finished talking about his achievements. But on behalf of the H.M. Patel English Studies Center and on behalf of my organizing and advisory committee, sir, I sincerely welcome you. And you would not believe, but it is the happiest moment for the conference that you have agreed to chair this session. So I welcome both of you, and we'll begin with a 2-3 minute primary talk from Hitesh Ravia sir, and to chair the session, and then hand it over to Kashmira ma'am. Sir, the stage is all yours. There are around 1,200 people listening right now online on various social media platforms. And people were waiting for you, and the moment has come to give you the stage. The stage is all yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mitul. Look, first of all, I would like to congratulate you for organizing such a great conference. It's not only about the conference, but what I like is the topic. Look, I think that this is the high time that we have to talk about English studies in India. Look, there are several myths connected to English studies in India, English language teaching in India, and this is the right time that we have to popularize this discipline. Look, we are shifting from traditional department of English to English studies. We know it very well that English is not what it was before independence, So several things are changing up. Many departments have changed their name from comparative literature, translation studies. So look, what I feel that English studies as a discipline is gradually emerging. And you have organized conference at that particular point of time when so much of debate and discussion is required on the term English studies. You'll be very happy to know that recently we have revised our syllabus and we have introduced a separate course that is called English Studies in India. I think I'm with the best of my knowledge, in the Western India, we are the first one. Our initiative is the first one to have revised this syllabus. Actually, we have been teaching English studies in India for more than 10 years. And you'll be very happy to know that even our SAP DRS project, we are working on English studies in India and particularly in Gujarat. So I think that the topic is very relevant and appropriate in the present context, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of deliberation on this topic, and still so much is to be theorized, to be reinvent, reimagine, relook. So I think that this discussion will definitely bring a new light to this discipline, and I think that H.M. Patel Institute and Professor Dr. Rajendra Singh Jadeja, and now you are taking forward it, So the tradition which began with Professor Jain, then Professor Sulban Natraj, then Dr. Rajendra Singh Jadeja, Professor Vevare, Professor Bose, and now since you have taken up as the director of this institute, I'm sure that we will definitely do a lot. With this small note, I wish you well, the conference, and I would like to invite Professor Kashmira Mehta for her talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Kashmira madam, the stage is yours now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very good morning and greetings from Kutch. In Kutchi, it is said that Marnu में तो मंजू पई ने माणी गनो तेज नका सायर वट लारी जा लेखा नवे Like if you want to plunge into the sea, you have to go and plunge into the sea. Enjoy if you dare. Like sitting on the shore and counting ripples is not fair. So I am plunging into the sea among these literary and language stalwarts like Jadeja sir, Shulbha madam, Rosella madam, and lot many people, those who have delivered these kind of intellectual deliberations. I'm honored actually and humbled to be invited, and the way you have introduced me, I'm really humbled. Anyway, I must say that I'm going to talk about challenges, policies, and possibilities. And with this, I have divided my presentation into three parts: uh, challenges, policies, and possibilities. I think I have 15 minutes, uh, 15 to 20 minutes to finish with Mitul Bhai.
Yes, ma'am. 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll be sharing my presentation. Just tell me, is it visible? I think it's visible now. Yes. I have to start with shift from city to ICT. Now you were wondering that what is city and what is ICT. English studies is now shifting from city to ICT, that is chalk and talk to information communication technology. So there is a lot of transition is going on nowadays. So it's a major shift we are facing nowadays. Now, let me talk about one thing that Abraham Lincoln said, that nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. But I will add little bit of e-pinch into that, and I'll say that all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test man's character, give him PowerPoint. Now, when someone will present, no, you will understand what he is. Sometimes we used to say that you speak and I'll say what you are. So, in the same way, the English studies in India is nowadays changing a lot. And if you will give a PowerPoint to the person who is teaching English, you will understand what kind of a person he is, the way he handles the PowerPoint. Now, let me begin with the challenges, policies, and possibilities. And with that, I'll be sharing few conclusions of my research that I had taken out in 2016, I think, with the financial assistance of UGC. And I'll be sharing 2-3 results of that also. Let me begin with the challenges at first. These are the challenges that we are facing nowadays. First, continuous professional development. Yes, we have to continuously develop ourselves. Career management and progression. Continuously, we have to manage our career as we have to look for API, of course, and we have to look for our not only our personal progress, but we have to look for our own not only career progress, but inward again spiritual progress. As a person, we need to look at another, meeting professional standards for teachers. Now there are lot many standards changing nowadays. We have to give Hindi exam, we have to give this exam, we have to give that exam. I'm speaking with lot of responsibility from this platform. And yesterday there is a good news that there will be a single exam for teachers now. Whatever you want to do, even in not only for teachers but in the careers. So that was a very good decision, I think, because you have to pass net set, you have to go for PhD. So all these meeting, all these professional standards, no, it is sometimes stressful. Challenges to adapt technology, lack of resources. I have jumbled all these challenges together, like challenges to adapt technology. Now, being a techno-friendly is not everyone's cup of tea. You have to see lot of things around going, and people are zooming around you like anything, and you have to adapt the technology because you want to work hand in hand with the world. So this is again a challenge. Lack of resources. If the platform is not given, internet facility is not given, lot many things. Yesterday I had seen a video that students are just sitting on a trunk of a tree and listening to the lectures that teachers are giving. Now this is again a lack of resource, limited support, maybe of internet also and of infrastructure also. Loneliness, yes, in this pandemic era we are sitting at home, giving our presentation virtually, meeting all the people, smiling, but that personal touch, that hug, that laugh, that smile, those moments that we spend together, these things are missing. And it is again a challenge for our personal well-being. Language barrier, again English teachers are everywhere, spread everywhere in the world, I must say. That they can be in Canada, they can be in South India, they can be in Uttarakhand, they can be in Bangladesh, they can be in Pakistan, everywhere. Now, being not only bilingual but trilingual is a barrier sometimes. Fear and stress due to pandemic. Now, we may feel sometimes lonely. We may feel fear of being infected. Uh, 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 Sometimes we feel that okay, we are brave, it cannot happen to us, but still it is a challenge. In these challenging times, tools, resources and tips are plentiful, but how do we find ones that are really working? The things are mushrooming like anything nowadays. Now we have to find out, is it really working? Now we can see the result after few years. Now what we are teaching online, is it really working? I don't know. Let us move ahead with the policy. Key changes to the current systems that I need, or means I wish that we can have in the policies, national education policies maybe in future. It should be multidisciplinary undergraduate education. Now, if I can expand this, like yesterday I had said that there must be academia and industry forum, and those who want to go to industries, or those who want to do the startups in undergraduate, at the undergraduate level, they should be given some training in the industries. So that will be multidisciplinary. Communication skills must be compulsory for all the people. Even for businessmen, it is compulsory. Not only for business, even it is compulsory for the personal relationship that you have to take care among the institution and with your family, relatives, and friends. So it must be compulsory everywhere. Faculty and institutional autonomy. Uh, just before few seconds, Rosella madam had told that all the people, all the faculties cannot do research and all the faculties cannot teach. Now they must be given autonomy. If I wish to make my career in research and I want to give something new to the world through the research, I must be given freedom. So this is what I want in the policy. Light but tight regulations for research. This is the third point. There should be tight regulations for research according to ethics and plagiarism. I'm talking about this. There should be more holistic and multidisciplinary education. There should be a total development, 365-degree development of the person. Not only the person who is good in business, he must be good in communication skills. He must sing also, or whatever hobby. He must cultivate that hobby through education. Stimulating Indianness in education and environment. Now, this is something that I want. All the regional languages, all the languages that we are teaching, there must be something very nice in your language that is not translated into English, and it must be of a world-class quality. So, and one more thing, there are Englishes, as you were talking, Mitul sir, that there are Englishes. So we must stimulate that Indianness in English and in education and the around environment around us. So that will be our contribution to the world of education and to the world also, as we want to be a Vishwa Guru. Flexible and innovative curricula. So this is what we are doing in CBCS system nowadays. So we are on the way, right? And internationalization, credit system has now changed. So we are moving ahead with that. And major thing about the policies that making it happen, we must have faith in ourselves. We must have something enthusiasm, something that carries the whole thing with us, that yes, we want to make it happen. That spirit I want from all of us who are listening to me and who have joined me in a teaching profession, that yes, we will make it happen. So policies is not about just making a policy, but making it happen. I'll be speaking next about the possibilities and the key initiatives that we have to take, right, to implement these policies. Pilot studies for online education. Now, there must be, if you want to make it happen, there must be pilot studies, that is it working properly or not. So institutes like the IGNO, IIT, NIT, there are so many, that NETF, they must conduct a pilot studies at first and then implement the strategies. There must be digital infrastructure free to everyone. I'm talking very with lot of responsibility, that it must be free to each and every student and a teacher who wish to teach and just study. Online teaching platform and tools, it must be developed. Content creation, digital repository, yes. We must have a digital bank for a variety of lectures, as we have it on YouTube. Lot many lectures. You just search a topic and you will find a total list of the things. But you have to be choosy among that. And dissemination, addressing the digital divide. Yes, this issue should be addressed, because in lot many areas we don't find internet connections. We don't have that facility infrastructure. So we have to address that divide, and it should be accessible to all. There should be virtual labs. There should be training and incentive for teachers. Now, I have seen lot many pictures around on the WhatsApp, that teacher is just hanging her mobile phone somewhere in a hanger and she is teaching. The way we are doing it, the way they have adapted the change, I must salute them, and to ourselves also. The way we are responding, not reaction, but responding to this pandemic era. I salute that. And I must say that proper training must be given to the teachers for adapting the technology. Blended models of learning must be created, and there should be standards of teaching online or something that you want to do. There must be some standards. The standard must be laid down. So these are the things that I wanted to have key initiatives that should be taken by us, and with the help of government, of course. These things should be done. So for possibilities, these things should be taken care of. Now, just I wanted to share few results that of my study that I had conducted in 2016, and it was the study of user presentation techniques in the classroom of Commerce Colleges of Kutch University. Now, how we are adapting the technology and presentation techniques, that was all about. Kutch is about 500 kilometers area. The major objectives of my study is the problem of lack of efficiency in presentation techniques among the commerce students, because as a commerce students they are going for MBA and they don't know how to present their presentation in the meetings, how to conduct these things. It was just in 2014-16 that I started thinking about that, and I put a proposal to UGC and it was accepted. And the how this lacuna hampers the career advancement of the students, and again the teachers also. These are the main objectives I wanted to study. And college students comprehend content well after using presentation techniques. Now, this is something in my mind that we used to study through a lecture method, always chalk and talk, and we used to understand it very nicely. I must say, I remember lot many teachers who just created heavens in the classrooms. But this technology made lot of transitions in the classrooms. So I was wondering, is it effective or not? So I just wanted to conclude the things with my research. So this is why I had taken this research. And I wanted to suggest the measures of arresting this problem, and some scientific basis for possible improvement also I wanted to provide to the authorities. So I had taken up that project, and here is I am sharing just two results. I had interviewed almost 1,300 students from Kutch, and first I had 38 questions in my mind at that time. And the first thing is, techno-friendly teachers help the students to enhance the scope of their personal as well as professional development. And it is surprising to note that 93% students agreed to this, that techno-friendly teachers help students to enhance the scope of their personal as well as professional development. So this is how the results were declared. Number two, among those 38 questions, this is another question that is having interesting results. This was the question: student favor a shift from city to ICT, chalk and talk to information communication technology. This is what in 2014-16 I was thinking, and 95% agreed to this, that we would like to welcome the change in teaching methods. So this is how the results. I don't want to share all the results because I have a time constraint, but 95%, 96% students agreed to this change. And these were the conclusions, that students favor a shift from city to ICT. Number two, ICT tools enhance teaching and learning experience. Techno-friendly teachers help the students to enhance the scope of their personal as well as professional development. Creative use of presentation technique help the students to avoid cramming, as the pictures, graphs, video clips make subject more interesting, which can be reproduced easily in the exams. Next is, using presentation techniques in the classroom makes topic more effective and informative. Learning use of ICT tools will help future for using facilities like e-banking, online trading, online shopping, ticket reservation. So even though if you don't want to use technology in your classrooms or somewhere, but you have to go for e-banking, that is for sure. Online trading, shopping, now everything is having a e-flavor, pinch of e-flavor in it. And lastly, computer-aided learning provides capabilities for responding to new demands that traditional classroom education cannot meet adequately. So you have to change to meet the new demands. And nowadays, this is new normal, I must say. So these are the major takeaways from my presentation, that the challenges, the policies and possibilities that I have given you. I'm surely going to share my presentation with you, Mitul Bhai, and all the participants. And in this pandemic has revealed the importance of quality of public services free of charge. Yes. point to be noted, free of charge and available to all. And education and health, police, researchers, teachers, and other professionals and individuals who are making this extraordinary effort in times of crisis, we are dependent on them because they are the people who are accepting these challenges. They are the people who are making these policies. They are the people who will implement these policies, and they are the people who will think about the possibilities of the future. Thank you very much. And I must thank you all because Rajendra Singh ji Jadeja, Shulbha madam, the people who are speaking since yesterday, they are the group of the people who challenge and inspire you. And I have spent a lot of time with them, and it will change, it has changed, and it will change my life. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. It was really a very good talk, and I think that you rightly said that there are several challenges as well as opportunities in the present time. Look, I do agree with you that the definition of teaching has been completely changed in 21st century, and particularly in the last 6 months. What was teaching in 20th century is no longer teaching today. So there is a paradigm shift, and ICT has changed each and every sphere of our life. So if everything has changed, why not teaching? So I think this is the high time that we have to theorized, I mean, we have to look at the definition of teaching and learning, because even I have my own doubts that Bloom's taxonomy may not be even appropriate today, because what Bloom says knowledge is not knowledge today. So even the definition of knowledge is changing, teaching is changing, learning is changing because of this digital era. So many challenges are there, and we are in a transition period. We don't know what will be the future, but I see that there will be a future called borderless education. Education will be for all, irrespective of boundaries. So look, UNESCO in its document long back said that there will be a borderless education in 21st century, and I am not surprised that there will be a virtual university in each state after 5 to 10 years. There will be a Gujarat Virtual University, Maharashtra Virtual University, and the teaching and learning will take place through that virtual university, because that is a reality in Western countries. So this is the high time that even in India also, IGNU and some of the initiatives have already started, but it is not completely virtual. But I strongly believe that there will be a central virtual university where all courses will be available. But at the same time, like what I feel, that the role of teacher will be crucial there. Look, teachers are required. Nobody, no technology can replace teachers. But what you rightly said, that chalk and talk method will not survive. Personally, I believe that those teachers who will use chalk and talk, they will be redundant in 10 years.
Yes,
They will
yes.
not be required. So with due respect, to all the teachers, we should have our content, we should have our knowledge, but if we are not able to mix that with ICT tools, then that knowledge will not be required, because the platform of knowledge sharing will be only online. I have my own doubts that whether all of us will get a chance to conduct PhD now in one-to-one, because UGC is going to discontinue PhD Viva physically. So there won't be any PhD Viva. That has already been decided by UGC, and most of the initiatives have started now online Viva. So it is a one step. Now PhD Viva will never be one-to-one. Similarly, so many changes are coming up. There is so much to say, but due to constraint of time, I'll conclude and I'll say it was really a good, very informative, research-based presentation. Mitul bhai, please, I hand over to you. Yeah, please.
I would like to invite the panel, if they have their views to be shared and their views to be shared with the larger audience, or some specific feedback that you would like to share on this particular presentation. So the house is open for questions and feedbacks. it would be better.
Hello, Kashmira ma'am.
Yes, yes, madam.
I like your acronyms, CT from CT to ICT. That is actually very good.
Thank you,
And
madam.
there certainly is the paradigm shift. So teaching, in a way, is not something that really leads to learning, but learning has to happen
Yes.
on at one's own effort, with one's own effort. So
Hmm.
now the focus in any case is on learning. That is the major paradigm
Yes.
shift. Whether it is through technology or through teachers is a different matter. But this, I really feel happy, Mithul, to see all the young people, Dr. Hitesh Ravia and Kashmira madam and you and others, even Ashok ji, all of you, Rosalia, all of you, the young people taking over, makes me feel so happy.
You are
So
an inspiration, madam. You are an inspiration always. So, as Jadesar sir rightly pointed out, that we will walk hand in hand under your guidance, madam. So, of course.
together, yeah. So we need to work together. Since Dr. Gokhale also seems to be on the scene, I would just like to make this point that NPE 2020 talks about introducing English very late. That is, it states that up to class 5 or even up to class 8, all teaching should be done through the vernacular. So, I mean, the implementation part is yet to be thought of. So, there are issues like if there are students willing to learn English earlier than class 5, what is to happen to them? Or if there are schools ready to offer this service, what is to will they not be allowed to? And then also, what is to happen to English medium schools if at all this policy is to be introduced? And if at all we say that okay, it's okay to introduce English from class 5, are we as teachers of English is a second language, are we really accepting that children will be ready or what should I say? Or their mother tongue influence will be so much so that it will be difficult to introduce English that late. So, can I request Dr. Gokhale to comment this?
Sir, please
Hello.
unmute. Jason.
Yes, yes. I think you have raised a very important question, and I was myself eager to know what happens to English medium schools in the new education policy. Because on the one hand, we find that there are more and more English medium schools, not only in cities but in towns and even in villages at times. I read another article uh, which claimed that the new education policy is not against English medium schools. So, in fact, someone conducted a survey in the city of Pune, and it was a survey of Marathi medium schools and English medium schools. And the survey predicted that by the year 2050, there may not be a single Marathi medium school in the city of Pune. And I think that will be a great loss. But it seems that English medium schools are allowed to function even now. And the only change that the article pointed out was that along with teaching English from standard 1, these schools will be forced to teach the regional language or the mother tongue and another Indian language. So it seems that three languages will be taught, or two more languages will be taught even in English medium schools. Uh, I think it's impossible for the government to reverse this trend of preferring English medium schools. Even illiterate parents seem to prefer English medium schools for their children. This is what I have read. I'm not sure what will happen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gokhale.
Thank you. When we were deciding on the various themes and sub-themes of this particular national event, uh, we thought of these things and we had long discussions on these aspects and issues. And that's why, with a consensus, we came up with this idea that it has to be titled as Challenges, Policies, and Possibilities. So these three things and these three particular areas required to be addressed. And in a very short period of time, we will be facing a lot of changes, not only in terms of challenges, but also in terms of policies and also in terms of possibilities. I'm sure the brilliant talk and presentation Professor Sulbha Nataraj ma'am gave yesterday showed that there are immense possibilities after this particular pandemic. And many institutions will require to come up with various innovative ideas and start dealing with all these challenges that we face in the present time. And being the host institution, our main focus is on the possibilities, and we are noting down every feedback on that. And we assure the panel that the H. Patel English Studies Center will try and will put in all the possible efforts to meet all these possibilities. So, with that note, I would like to conclude this plenary session. I would like to thank Dr. Kashmira Mehta, ma'am. Thank you for a wonderful presentation, wonderful talk. And I'm sure your presentation will be appreciated everywhere. And we would also like to circulate your PPT, so please send it to us so that we could send it to all the participants and delegates. Thank you, Professor Hitesh Ravia, sir. Your presence actually made a lot of difference to this session, and people have viewed it and commented that tomorrow you will be delivering a keynote address, Professor Hitesh Ravia, sir, and they said that please don't keep the time limit. So I'm a little worried now, but we'll see, and I'm sure tomorrow we'll have wonderful keynote as well. However, there are afternoon sessions, and it will start from 2 o'clock onwards. We'll get back to you at 2 o'clock. And once again, I would like to thank you for being with us, being a part of our objectives, being a part of our team. And thank you so much, everyone. With this particular note of gratitude, I conclude the morning session. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.